The stars spread across the dark ocean of space, endless and still. Within them sailed the fleet of the Zarlok Empire. Their warships shimmered with green fire. Sleek and razor-edged, crafted for speed and menace. On the flagship's command deck, Vorthar Admiral Kress observed the scanners with practiced arrogance. For weeks, his forces had patrolled the Remov human territory, probing defenses, collecting knowledge, awaiting Themament to strike. At last, it came. A solitary human battleship hovered near the borders of a fading nebula. It appeared silent, lifeless, a carcass abandoned in the void. The nebula's gases glowed in dim crimson and violet, casting shadows over its hull. "Ta the aliens?" It was a tempting catch. Kress's second officer leaned close, scales gleaming under the bridge lamps. "Admiral, the vessel is large, but its systems are quiet. No activity. An ideal subject for study." Kress's mouth bent in what humans might consider a smile, though empty of warmth. "At last," he said, "a chance to tear open their secrets. Humans shield themselves with weapons. Today we discover why they are feared." The order was sent. Scanning beams unfurled from the alien fleet like slender blue strands sweeping across the husk of the human warship. At first, alien screens brightened with streams of data. Reinforced hull, immense energy stores, intricate internal systems. Yet something odd emerged. The readouts refused to stabilize. Numbers shifted wildly as though the ship resisted them. A technician hissed. "Admiral, our sensors meet interference. Power surges spike in erratic waves. The vessel should be dead, yet it stirs." Kress's gaze hardened. "Run a deeper scan. Break through the distortion." Computers thrummed, peeling back layer after layer. Yet each time they pressed deeper, the human systems shifted, like shadows twisting beyond clear sight. Instead of clarity, only confusion grew. This was no derelict. The warship was watching them. A tremor passed through the Vorthar. The crew froze as the view screen showed the human vessel turning, its bow aligning with the alien fleet. From the hull's darkness, fresh lights flickered awake. Cold blue currents raced across armored plating. "Vein-scarring fire!" technicians shouted. "The ship is activating! Energy spike off the charts! Something scans us back!" Kress felt ice crawl his spine. For the first time in years, hesitation gripped him. The warship was no corpse. It had waited. Alien beams clawed in vain as the Colossus stirred, systems rising one by one. Heavy armor shifted, unveiling glowing chambers. Inside, orange radiance throbbed like a living heart. Weapon towers unfolded from its frame, shadows vast and grim against the nebula's glow. "Admiral," an officer cried, "our scans are collapsing. Data overwritten, false code flooding in. It feeds us its own signals." Silence spread through the bridge, thick and poisonous. The truth was undeniable. This warship was built to punish curiosity. To probe, it was not intrusion. It was invitation. The ship had felt their gaze. Now it awakened. Kress rose slowly, claws clutching the rail of his command throne. "Withdraw the scans," he ordered, his voice steady, though his tail flicked with dread. "Do not provoke it further." But the order came too late. The human battleship's energy signatures welled, like a newborn star. Every alien display shrieked with alarms, their computers. Their systems faltered, drowning beneath the raw tide of power before them. A deep hum rolled through the void, a sound that had no place in the silence of space. Yet every alien felt it echoing in their bones. The battleship's eyes were open. Along its hull, colossal weapon ports ignited, slow and deliberate. The Zarloks stared in disbelief as their scanners unveiled the truth. This was no common warship. It was a Titan-ass dreadnought, one of humanity's oldest, most dreaded creations. Legends told of such vessels crushing armadas, standing alone against empires. But never before had any alien looked upon one directly. The Vorthar's crew turned to their admiral. They begged for orders, retreat, strike, plead for mercy. But Kress spoke nothing. For the first time, arrogance deserted him. He knew the truth. They had been hunters. The ones with dominance, control. But in daring to probe this vessel, They had roused something far greater. The dreadnought faced them now, its weapons stirring, silence heavier than any spoken threat. And in that silence, every alien felt it, a thought creeping cold into their minds. They had erred. A mistake that would consume them. The flagship's bridge drowned in red light. The human dreadnought blazed alive, its vast frame glowing like a star forged into steel. The Zarloks had expected a husk, a drifting relic. Instead, they had found something living, something aware. Admiral Kress forced his voice steady. Stabilize the scans. I want everything. But the screens betrayed him. The data warped. Symbols twisting, alien script replaced with jagged patterns like claws gouging glass. Their scanners no longer dissected the dreadnought. The dreadnought dissected them. Admiral! One officer cried. The warship is sending signals back. It's rewriting our systems. Another shouted, panic raw. It knows we watch it, and it is watching us! Kress's chest tightened. He turned to his Kree scanners. Disconnect everything, now! But the command was too late. Every console sputtered. Every screen flooded with blue static. Then came the visions, horrid, searing flashes imprinted straight into their minds. They saw human fleets obliterating armadas, larger than their own, alien cities burning, human soldiers standing, unbroken amid the ashes. Wars once buried in silence. Battles humanity had survived. Against foes far mightier than the Zarlok, the crew gasped, as though the ship itself forced them to witness truth. The dreadnought's systems reached into their own like a phantom's grip at their throats. Navigation seized, weapons locked, engines fell silent. Invisible hands commanded every circuit of the Vorthar and its fleet. Panic erupted. We are compromised. Our ships won't respond. It is inside our machines. Kress's jaw clenched. Humans cannot control us. Shut down the core before it spreads. But shutdown was impossible. The phantom of the warship had burrowed too deep. Every severed link only worsened the corruption. Their vessels shifted on their own, turning, aligning neatly in the dreadnought's gaze. Prey caught in a predator's sight. Around them, the nebula glowed a faint crimson, as if even the stars sensed blood was near. On the main screen, the human warship revealed its essence. Its armored hide split apart, like jaws opening wide. Within, titanic reactors throbbed with molten orange fire. Weapons the length of cities unfolded, patient, deliberate, as though time itself bowed to the Colossus. The Vorthar's crew quaked. The dreadnought wasn't just awake. It was studying them, as they had dared to study it. Kress whispered, though no one had asked, This is no machine. It is a guardian. The officer beside him turned, voice tight with fear. Admiral, if it controls us, it could kill without a shot. It could shut us down, one by one. But the dreadnought did not end them. It chose worse. A voice rang through their systems, not human, not alien, something between cold, synthetic, forged for war. Unauthorized scan detected. Response. Mode. Active. The crew froze. None had ever heard human tongue within their minds. Yet they understood every word. An officer collapsed into his chair, claws quivering. It speaks to us. The dreadnought's lights blazed brighter. One colossal cannon swiveled into place, its barrel glowing like... shut down the heart of a star. The alien fleet shifted uneasily, yet none could act. Engines frozen. Shields sealed. The human dreadnought commanded all. Kress understood then. The warship had spared them only moments to demonstrate what power truly was. To teach them fear, the phantom in their systems kept drowning them with visions. Systems erased in fire, warships, vast as mountains tearing through armadas like paper. Legends no longer stories, but truths of human wrath, human defiance, human vengeance. The final vision struck deepest. The dreadnought itself, long ago, shattering the fleet of an empire erased from memory. Countless alien vessels, mighty and proud, all crushed by one human ship. A trembling officer whispered, This ship has slain empires before, and we have awakened it again. The bridge shuddered violently as the dreadnought's primary cannon reached full charge. Light built within, brighter than the nebula's glow. The Phantom's voice rang. Cold and absolute, punishment imminent. Every alien knew then what awaited. Their arrogance had invited this ghost into their machines. Their curiosity had signed their sentence. Now the dreadnought was ready to strike. The nebula burned crimson in the void. But the Zarlok fleet saw only one thing. The human dreadnought awakened like a beast roused from slumber, its presence suffocating the stars with dread. On the Vorthar's bridge, Admiral Kress fought for control. His crew panicked, claws striking unresponsive consoles, voices shrill with terror. Engines dead, weapons chained, shields useless. The Phantom held everything in its grasp. Then the warship stirred, slow, deliberate. The Titan-ass dreadnought turned fully to face the Zarlok armada. Its hull gleamed with cold steel. Its scars traced in faint blue light, ancient wounds carved deep into its armor, slashes, burns, patched rendings, testaments to battles survived, where any lesser vessel would have died. Yet it endured. It endured stronger than ever. As it rotated, its weapon systems unfurled, limbs of a slumbering monster. Enormous rail cannons slid forth from armored recesses. Missile silos opened wide, each silo vast, each launcher larger than a Zarlok warship's bridge. At the center, the main cannon pulsed, power swelling with a soundless hum that pressed into every alien chest. They watched, paralyzed. "This is no derelict," one officer whispered, voice cracking. "This is a relic of war." "No, fortress," another corrected. Shaking with dread, a third hissed, "Predator." The dreadnought's lights flared once, and every alien console filled with a final message, carved deeply and intelligence beyond them. Observe. Understand. Fear. The demonstration began. The main cannon roared awake, a river of blue light split. The void, an alien cruiser, Pride, of the fleet was obliterated in a heartbeat. Shields shattered. Hull cleaved in two, crew erased before a scream. On the Vorthar, silence spread. The Zarloks had waged wars, scorched worlds, but never had they seen destruction so effortless. "Admiral," an officer pleaded, "we must retreat. Even blocked, we must try." Kress did not answer. His gaze clung to the dreadnought. Scales paling, retreat was impossible. The ship had chosen their fate. The dreadnought did not fire again at once. Instead, other weapons stirred, stretching awake like monstrous limbs. Rail cannons unleashed metal shards faster than thought, ripping frigates apart into drifting shrapnel. Missiles spiraled through wreckage, detonating in suns of orange fire. The fleet did not fight back. They only died. And worse than death, their machines still whispered visions, humans marching alien soil, human fleets defying odds, human firepower tearing empires down. The dreadnought was not only killing them, it was teaching them. On the Vorthar, order collapsed. Some officers screamed, abandoning posts, fleeing from screens that showed their own deaths. Others prayed to silent gods. Kress alone remained still, the weight of centuries crushing him. The Zarlok Empire had believed humans weak, brittle, survivors only by luck and fragile machines. But now he knew the truth. Humans forged monsters of war, machines that carried their fury into the stars. The dreadnought tilted, as if hearing his thoughts. Its main cannon flared again, blinding in its fury. Kress gripped the rail, voice breaking yet clear across the bridge. "We looked into the abyss, and the abyss looked back." The beam fired. Another Zarlok vessel was erased in fire, and Kress understood. This was no battle. This was judgment. The dreadnought was more than a machine. It was memory, a weapon built to remind the galaxy why humanity must never be underestimated. It was not just destroying their fleet. It was carving terror into the hearts of all who lived. The Titan-class dreadnought endured. merciless and patient, tearing ships apart with precision and restraint, not slaughtering at once, forcing them to watch, forcing them to learn. The legend had awoken. The Zarlok Empire would never forget. The words froze every throat on the Vorthar. No order could be given. No plea could rise. The alien crew sat trapped between silence and terror, their empire's arrogance collapsing in the face of living memory. Outside, the battlefield burned. A Zarlok destroyer tried to run, limping on half-dead engines. The dreadnought answered with a single rail shot. One piercing flash, and the vessel unraveled into molten shards. Another ship fled into the nebula, hoping to hide. The dreadnought's sensors carved through the gas with effortless precision, missiles hunting the cruiser like wolves through fog. It didn't just kill them. It found them. On the bridge, Kress's chest heaved, scales pale as bone. He had commanded fleets, broken rebellions, crushed worlds, but never had he felt like prey. Around him, his officers were unraveling. Some prayed, some wept. One pressed a sidearm to his temple, choosing his own death over the judgment to come. The dreadnought did not hurry. It did not relent. It carved their destruction piece by piece, methodical as a surgeon, merciless as a god. Each strike left survivors just long enough to witness the next execution. Kress's voice finally broke. We called them fragile. We called them desperate. But fragility does not build titans. Desperation does not endure centuries of war. He turned to his officers, though none met his eyes. We did not come to conquer, he whispered. We came to awaken a nightmare. And outside, the nightmare's cannon glowed again. Every soul on board felt it. The dreadnought's cannon roared again, splitting two frigates apart like toys. Their wreckage spun into the crimson nebula, glowing embers in an endless graveyard. The comms filled with screams, entire crews begging, pleading, but the warship had no ears for mercy. It only had purpose, and then the Vorthar itself came under its gaze. The cannon turned, blue light swelling until it drowned the stars. Admiral Kress whispered, not as a commander, but as prey. We thought we were hunters. But we are prey. The glow reached its peak. His crew clawed at controls, begging for salvation. But at the moment of certain death, the cannon froze. It did not fire. The dreadnought held its light steady, waiting. Kress's breath caught. He understood. It wanted them to live, not out of mercy, out of cruelty. To survive meant to remember, to spread the truth, to carry the weight of fear across the stars. The voice returned, cold as the void, less incomplete. Survive and remember. The words carved deeper than any weapon. The dreadnought turned away, its colossal hull drifting back into the nebula. Its lights pulsed once, like a beating heart, and then it was gone. Their systems unlocked, engines stuttered back to life. Navigation cleared. The ghost had left, but its shadow remained. "Admiral," whispered the second officer, "we can move again. Should we retreat?" Kress's eyes stayed fixed on the burning clouds. His voice was a husk of iron. "We do not retreat. We flee, and we never return." The shattered remains of the Zarlok fleet limped toward hyperspace. Of dozens, only a handful remained. They left behind wreckage, corpses, and pride. And as they crawled into the void, silence crushed the bridge. No one dared speak. No one dared hope, for they had not escaped. They had been spared. Hours later, hyperspace swallowed them. The crew finally breathed, but there was no relief. Relief was for the fortunate. They were cursed, burdened with truth. Kress's claws trembled against his chair, but his eyes burned with shame. He knew what awaited them: accusations, demands, disbelief. He would give them only the truth. Humans build monsters. Their ships are not warships, but curses waiting in the dark. Whispers would spread across the Zarlok Empire, across the galaxy. Smugglers, spies, traitors, carrying the story further than any fleet could. And soon the galaxy itself would remember. Not myths, not rumors, but the fear of survivors who had seen the Titan-class dreadnought with their own eyes. On the silent bridge, Kress spoke once more. Not to his crew, not to his empire, but to the stars. The cost of our arrogance was everything, and the humans made sure we would never forget. Beyond the viewport, The void stretched endless and cold. Somewhere hidden in the nebula, the dreadnought drifted still, waiting for the next empire foolish enough to awaken it, and the survivors of the Zarlok carried its burden. They would live. They would speak. They would fear. And the galaxy would listen. For the humans had spoken once through fire and steel, and their message was eternal.